This Sunday, it'll have been 10 years since that unforgettable and terrible September morning in 2001. Thousands of lives were lost that day, and everyone's life changed that day. In the 10 years since then, our lives have changed even more just through the passing of time. A newborn in 2001 is now in 5th grade. A 5th grader is now in college or working, and a college graduate from that year now likely has a family of their own. While all of our lives have changed in these past 10 years, the Dave Ryan in the Morning Show looks back at what our lives were like on that morning, September 11th, 2001.
Good to have you close to the home.
We're back at 8:30 on this Tuesday morning. It's the 11th day of September, the year 2001. And we've got a nice crowd on a beautiful early fall morning here in Manhattan. We hope the weather's pretty where you're waking up as well.
Hi, my name is Kathleen. I'm from Rosemount, and I very vividly remember September 11th because it happened to be my 40th birthday.
This is Heather from Oak Grove. I was a flight attendant for Northwest Airlines. I was 26 years old.
This is Jody from Isani. I was celebrating my daughter's first birthday.
My name is Katie Nagel, and I actually turned 20 on September 10th. And I remember being filled with memories of, how great life was. Everything was amazing.
My name is Stephen Jones from Lake Elmo, Minnesota. And I was in Manhattan on September 11, 2001. Got into Grand Central Station at about 8:30 in the morning. Started walking north to south to my office, which was about 15 blocks. All of a sudden, myself and everybody around me noticed a plane that was flying really low.
We are breaking into this special live coverage of what's happening at the World Trade Center in New York.
This just in, you are looking at obviously a very disturbing live shot there. That is the World Trade Center, and we have unconfirmed reports this morning that a plane has crashed into one of the towers.
Hey, this is Eric Perkins from KARE 11. I remember 9/11 like it was far too recent. And I busted in immediately and woke up both my roommates to tell them to come look at the TV. They were mad at me, but you know what? They had to see it because this was history and an absolute tragedy. I just was, my heart is still heavy to this day thinking about it.
Listening to KDWB, and as I was listening, I looked at my mom and I said, "Mom, isn't Dad there?" And she's like, "Yes, he is." And my dad was traveling to New York City for business, and he's from Minnesota. And he's on the 63rd floor of the North Tower.
My name is Nicole, and I am from Minneapolis. It was probably my first week of my freshman year at the U of M. Got to class, had no idea what was going on, and a girl raised her hand in class and said, "I don't understand why we're having class right now, or how we can have class right now with what happened this morning." And the teacher had no idea what happened, and she told her, and the teacher just started hysterically crying and sent us home. The whole way back to the St. Paul campus, my sister and I were on the bus, and we were just terrified of even being on the bus.
Say again. Executive 956, did you understand that transmission?
Yeah, that transmission he said was unreasonable. It sounded like someone said they have a bomb on board.
Sir, did you hear the transmission where the airplane that said he had a bomb on board? Affirmative, he said there was a bomb on board. That's what we thought. We just, we didn't get it clear.
That aircraft, you can't get a hold of. Has he turned to the east now?
He's just turned to the east also.
Okay, 956, we had a visual on him. Just stand by.
Do you have a visual on him now?
We did, but we lost him in the turn.
If you can make a turn back to a 220 heading, let me know if you can see him.
They were making a turn at 956.
Negative, we're anybody northwest of you.
We're looking now, sir.
Okay, American 10-6 and Executive 956, we just lost the target on that aircraft.
Now remember, oh my God.
Oh my God.
That looks like a second plane.
Dear Lord.
I did not see a plane go in. That just exploded.
We just saw another plane coming in from the side.
You did. That was out of
Yes, and that's the second explosion. You could see the plane come in just from the right-hand side of the screen. So this looks like it is some sort of a concerted effort to attack the World Trade Center that is underway.
We will see that scene again just to make sure we saw what we...
So you have no idea right now?
There's another one. Another plane just hit. Right. Oh, my God. Another plane has just hit. It hit another building. Flew right into the middle of it. Explosion. My God, it's right in the middle of the building.
This one into the East Tower?
Yes. That was definitely looked like it was on purpose.
You saw a plane?
Yes, I just saw a plane go into the building.
Why do you say that was definitely on purpose?
Because it just flew straight into it.
Of course, the major concern is human loss. I mean, do you know if there were many people in the building?
Oh, another one just hit. Something else just hit. A very large plane just flew directly over my building, and there's been another collision. Can you see it? I can see it on this shot.
Oh, my.
Something else has
You know what? We just saw a plane circling the building. We just saw a plane circling the building a second ago on the shot right before that.
I think there may have been another impact. Can you tell? I just heard another very loud bang, and a very large plane that might have been a DC-9 or a 747 just flew past my window, and I think it may have hit the Trade Center again.
To be honest, Elliot, I didn't get the impression that it was that big a plane.
It looks big from here.
I did see a plane go by a second ago, though, and it has now impacted the building. I'm trying to see if it's the different tower.
I think it may have been. I believe the first one was World Trade Center 1, and it looks, from what I'm seeing on the television, like it may have been the second building.
This is a piece of tape, and we may actually see another plane enter the picture here in a second.
I wonder if there are air traffic control problems.
Let's go back to Jennifer Oberstein, who was talking to a second ago. Jennifer, did you see this happen?
Hello?
Did you just see this happen, Jennifer?
Matt, I've never seen any. It looks like a movie. I saw a large plane, like a jet. It was a very large plane. It was going fast. It went past the Ritz-Carlton Hotel that's being built in Battery Park. It flew right past it, almost hit it, and then went in.
This is so shocking, of course, to everybody watching.
I've never seen anything like it. It literally flew itself into World Trade Center.
You have to move from talk about a possible accident to talk about something deliberate that has happened here.
It is completely impossible to understand why this is happening and to figure out what in the world is going on.
Hey, it's Angie Taylor, former co-host of the Dave Ryan in the Morning Show on KDWB. I remember 9/11 so crystal clear, like it was yesterday. I remember that Pat Eberts and I were the only ones at work that day because Dave Ryan, who never takes work off, decided that was the day to take a day off. I believe he was sick. But it was so scary watching the Today Show and seeing the airplanes come in and the first one come in and me wondering, what is that plane doing so close to that building? And then just watching it all transpire and suddenly having to turn into a news radio station and tell everybody in their cars and at home what was going on. It was so scary and wondering if we were next and is it the end of the world and what is going on. And then I remember leaving the show that morning and going into the conference room with everybody else from work and just sitting there watching the news in silence. And some of us were crying. We were all definitely scared. It was the most surreal, scary day of my life, and I am sure nobody will ever forget it, but I will definitely never forget that day.
Hey, my name's Ashley. I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and the morning of September 11th, I actually was in my car and listening to KDWB when Angie Taylor and Pat Eberts relayed the news about the planes crashing into the building. I don't really remember driving home, but I got home, ran inside, watched the footage in the morning. So it was pretty amazing, but I found out from KDWB, and I'll never forget.
I was woken by a phone call from my then brother-in-law screaming, "Where's Heather? Where's Heather? Where's Heather?" to my then husband. And he said, "She's in bed." And he said, "Turn the TV on." And then he said, "What channel?" And he said, "Any channels, turn it on." That was before they knew what airline it was and what exactly had happened. And as we had the TV on, the second aircraft hit the second tower. Pretty traumatic. I didn't know if my crew members, anybody I knew, was on any of the aircraft.
I do want to thank the folks here at Booker Elementary School for their hospitality. Today we've had a national tragedy. 2 2 airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country. I have spoken to the Vice President, to the Governor of New York, to the Director of the FBI, and have ordered that the full resources of the federal government go to help the victims and their families, and to conduct a full-scale investigation to hunt down and to find those folks who committed this act. Terrorism against our nation will not stand.
My cousin worked at the Pentagon at the time, which added to the horror.
We are breaking into this special live coverage of what's happening at the World Trade Center in New York to tell you about something going on right here at the Pentagon. You are looking at both pictures. The smoke that you see on the left-hand side of your screen is right here in the Washington area at the Pentagon.
Reports of an explosion. People said the building shook.
They felt the building shake.
I was 23 years old. I was in the Army Reserves, and I was working as a bank teller. And as the morning's events unfolded, myself and the other tellers at the bank watched on the TV screen as things happened, and we cried. And I remember thinking that it was pretty likely that I would be deployed, and within a couple of years I was deployed to Afghanistan.
Hi, my name is Kristen, and I was 22 years old. I was up in Duluth at the time when the Twin Towers hit, and I woke up to my boyfriend calling me and telling me what had happened. Once I kind of came to and realized what he was saying, what I did then is hang up my phone, and I instantly called my dad, who was a chief. He was obviously incredibly busy, being overwhelmed with information. And he said, "Kristen, I can't talk to you." He said, "What I can tell you is I think we're going to World War III." And he basically hung up on me.
The vital information that we have on Flight 93, it's a Boeing 757. One interesting note also, we are getting information, according to the Associated Press, that there was a passenger on that flight who dialed 911, and he was calling emergency officials saying that he was being, quote, hijacked. We are being hijacked.
My name is Pam, and I am from Elk River, and I have a different perspective on things when I saw it, because I am a firefighter's wife, and the first thought I had is, I hope the firefighters do not go in there and go up the stairwell, as I know that is routine, and that was before the actual collapse happened.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
On itself, and it is not.
It just landed on Manhattan.
All right, so now we look back up to the TV. One of the World Trade Towers has collapsed and fallen.
Secondary follow-up explosion on the World Trade Center #2 in the Washington.
Secondary.
On the south, that is difficult to make out through the debris and smoke, but it does appear that a portion, the top portion of the building, has collapsed down to the streets below.
Oh, my gosh.
Unbelievable. We have seen here the debris and smoke just covering the entire portion of lower Manhattan.
Oh, my gosh.
Jim, we know this is terribly difficult for everybody. We're asking that you please stay with us, hold your shot, stay with us on audio. We should tell people our crews have been running from that scene, as have everybody, and the entire area has been under an evacuation for some time. And just moments ago, you saw it here live from Chopper 2, a horrific scene as one of the towers there appears to have collapsed. From what had happened earlier, a quick chronology as you continue to look live. Just before 9 o'clock this morning, word of a plane crash into Tower 1 that had been confirmed. A 757 hijacked out of Boston was the first impact. 18 minutes later, a second plane impacted Tower 2. Not long after that,
Videotape of that second crash.
Not long after this second impact that you will see here on tape, happening 18 minutes after the first impact,
and then
was the fire at the Pentagon.
Right, about 9:30 this morning.
Also confirmed,
and this is the collapse. We're showing you, this is the collapse, ladies and gentlemen, on videotape.
The whole middle of the building
just
came out.
happened. Unbelievable.
It's like an implosion, right?
Let's go to Marcia Kramer now in the newsroom as she watches.
never seen anything like this.
I've got 5 patients. They need to be... We got an ambulance full of cops and pedestrians. Building just collapsed. I don't have much more. I got another tower that just came down, 1013. All the cops away from the building. You got a female officer down. Female officer, where are you now, King? Where are you, King? Where are you?
Hey, it's Louise from St. Paul, and I was in 4th grade on 9/11. My dad was in New York for business, and he had a meeting in the Twin Towers that morning. I was in math class in Minnesota when my teacher pulled me out of class to tell me that my dad was okay. I didn't know why he was telling me this because I had no idea what was going on. But it turns out that my dad was in a taxi driving to the World Trade Center, and they were about a mile away when they saw these huge clouds of smoke. So the cab driver decided that it was too dangerous to go any further. So he brought my dad back to his apartment where they found out what was going on. And the cab driver went out and bought my dad food for him to eat, and his entire family was just so hospitable to him. And I was just amazed when I heard this story as to how kind people can be to perfect strangers.
Hi, my name is Stacy. I was in Edina at the time, and I was actually 11 years old. I remember sitting in my elementary school classroom, and I remember seeing my teachers crying, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And then I remember them taking all of the computers from the library and putting them in every single classroom. And we would just sit and we watched the newscasts of what was going on, and I remember watching the towers just fall and collapse. And I remember just sitting there thinking to myself, nothing's going to be the same. I didn't know what was going to be different. I don't know. I was 11. I didn't know exactly what was going on, but I knew at the time that everything was going to change for how I grew up, and I mean, just everything.
We're not going to be stopped. We're not going to be deterred. We're not going to stay at home. We're not going to be frightened. We're going to live our lives as Americans.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
We're all brothers. We all got to stick together.
One nation, under God, indivisible.
My God, look at the skyline without the towers.
Hello, this is Adam Levine from Maroon 5. I remember being kind of shocked, as everybody else in the rest of the country was, but also seeing in a moment of weakness for our country how well we all came together, and that was an amazing thing. As vulnerable as we were, we managed to pull it together, and that was really inspiring. So we tried to turn it into as positive a situation as we could. So I was amazed at everyone's strength, especially people in New York, and it was just inspiring, but obviously tragic, but inspiring in some ways as well.
Hi, my name is Anna. I'm from Minneapolis, and I was 13 years old. I think my biggest memory of 9/11 was that it was actually the first time I ever saw my father cry. My dad, from the Philippines, and he had left to get away from, violence, terrorism, and everything like that. And that Sunday morning after 9/11, he left church, and I found him after church in the back crying. And he left his country just to give us a better life, and never thought that it would hit so close to home.
You'd think you wouldn't feel alone in a city of millions, but I can tell you, you felt isolated and frightened and alone, and that entire city, when we walked out of the studio 14 hours later, was still dust covered, and heavy smoke and debris was blowing through Manhattan, and you had no idea if it was toxic. The smell was acrid. You had no frame of reference. You didn't know if it was poisonous, if it was toxic. You're walking through the streets and looking at everybody just like vacant and expressionless and frightened, and you don't know where to go. You don't know what's safe. Nothing is open. Anybody who's ever been to Manhattan knows everything is always open. When you go through that city and nothing is open and you don't know if you can get something to eat.
What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about your brother?
Right now, it's where is he and when will I see him again?
Christian is missing. Shortly after the second tower collapsed, he and 4 of his comrades disappeared in the dust and the smoke.
We're hoping that maybe he's in a hospital, but maybe he's not able to speak. Other people who were termed missing did show up in other hospitals.
Hi, my name is Jody from Chaska, Minnesota. I was home that morning getting ready for work, and I had just sent my older 2 children off to school on the bus. And I remember seeing it come over the news, and I thought, oh my God, what is going on? And I was worried about my children. And that day, I just remember so vividly, my son was 10 years old at that time and practiced football. Now he is overseas, serving in the United States Air Force. And from 10 years old to 20 years old, he's serving our country. And I just want to thank all the military for all they've done in the last 10 years and before that also. So, God bless. God bless America. God bless America. God bless America.
I want you all to know you can't go any louder. I want you all to know that America today is on bended knee in prayer for the people whose lives were lost here, for the workers who work here, for the families who mourn. This nation stands with the good people of New York City and New Jersey and Connecticut as we mourn the loss of thousands of our citizens. I can hear you. I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you. And the people, the nation sends its love and compassion to everybody who is here. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for making the nation proud. And may God bless America.
Wow, so many emotions.
It's history.
We should remember 9/11.
It was an awakening. That's what it was.
And we should never forget.
Remember 9/11.
One nation under God.
Never forget. Just never, ever forget.
I mean, how can you not remember it?
We should never forget it.
All across the world.
And we have to remember why.
We cannot forget 9/11.